Daniel Farke has just had his press conference for the Leeds United match against Huddersfield this weekend at home, and there was a lot of interesting news, a few questions that didn't really matter too much, but we got a little bit more insight into what's going to happen. And in this video, I'm going to run through what Daniel Farke said in his press conference, a little bit of a preview for Huddersfield and my predictions. Let me know in the comments below what you predict, and I'll get to it a little bit later as well. First up, the team news. On Crescencio Somerville, the reason he didn't start earlier this week was he's had a few little niggles throughout the season, little muscle injuries that Daniel Farke just doesn't want to worsen. Apparently, he's had his shoulder strapped up in matches and training. It is improving, but he mentioned that shoulder injuries tend to take a really long time to get sorted. So it's good that he's able to play through it, essentially. In addition to that, Jed Spence is still a couple of weeks away. I think Farke mentioned something like 10 to 14 days away from training with the team, then a little bit longer after that. Dallas is a similar time frame. Junior Firpo is back training with the team already. Whether or not he's fit to play, we don't know quite yet. In addition to that, Sam Byram might be a late call because, as mentioned earlier in the season, playing 3 matches within a week is not easy for him. He's got a long, storied injury history, and looking after him is sort of ideal. He might be rotated. Why has that focus changed? Okay, we're back. He might be rotated out, but we can't be 100% sure because he said it'll be a last-minute call as to whether Sam Byram plays or not this weekend. Aside from that, all of the existing players that were in the first team are available to play for Daniel Farke this weekend. That gives him a nice wide range of options for players that can start, and also makes me think that Crescencio Somerville and Dan James can be options to begin this match. Also in the presser, he stood up for Patrick Bamford, saying that he can understand why he took the shot and Piroe would have taken the penalty, but wasn't on the pitch at the time, so they hadn't sorted out contingency plans and stuff like that. And furthermore, he said he was really pleased with Piroe so far. Piroe so far, because Joel Piroe is... A lot of people think he's playing out of position. He played there quite a lot for Swansea anyway, so he's sort of used to where he is. Scored 5 or 6 goals this season already, so he's definitely making an impact. And he's just sort of adapting to the shape and structure of the team at the moment. With that information, what's your predicted lineup? Pop it in the comments below and let me know. I think I would go with Meslier in goal. I'd perhaps start Ayling this week just to give Archie Gray a little bit of a rest, but I'm going to assume it's still going to be Archie Gray because Farke didn't mention him being out. Rodon and Strauch at centre-back just makes sense to me because I think they're one of the best pairings in the league. And at left-back, I think if Byram is able to be fit, he'll play there. If not, maybe Shackleton. Midfield, if we're not playing Archie Gray, I'm thinking Ampadu and Kamara. Gruev did okay, but he didn't really make waves. Front line, I would go Somerville, James, Rutter, and Piroe. It's a front four that works, has worked consistently, and I don't see any need to rotate it. So we know what to expect from Leeds United, but what can we expect from Huddersfield this weekend? The first thing to expect, or at least look at, is their performances so far this season. After all, there's no better way to get an idea of your opponent than know what they've done in the past. And one thing really stood out to me, they're very, very low scoring. They don't score many goals. They've had a goal per game so far this season, and it's put them down in 20th in the table. However, in spite of the fact that they're not scoring many goals, their XG isn't too bad. Their XG is something like 2 or 3 above where their goals are, which means that their finishing is not quite there at the moment. That's something that we could take advantage of, but it's the sort of thing that swings from chance to chance, so we can only hope that they don't turn it on against us. That would be pretty bad. In addition to that, they have also conceded the 4th most goals in the league in total. That's a big part of what's put them down in 20th place in the division at the moment, and it's something that we should absolutely look to take advantage of. There will be more than enough opportunities for us to have shots and really press them. In addition to that, they've only won once in their last 7 matches, but they've got 4 draws. They're the sort of side that is very, very good at grinding out a result because of their tactics, which I'm going to get into in a moment. But that's something that we need to be wary of. We have to, as the crowd, get behind the team, push them forwards, and make sure that there is a result at the end of this. Diving into the Huddersfield tactics, there's quite a lot of interesting stuff to delve into here. And first up, they typically play with a back 3. This is going to be pretty good for us, weirdly, because we don't play with a front line that relies on a traditional striker. If we did, then I would think, sure, he might struggle to get space against their back line, but considering we play with Rutter and Piroe a little bit deeper alongside the wingers, that's going to provide a lot of opportunities. That's basically 4 players against their back 3, and if not, we've pinned their wing backs back and we can have a lot more control in midfield. There's a lot of opportunities that can thank you again, camera, that can come from this, and I'm going to turn autofocus off for the next video. Sorry about that. In addition to that, they are mostly fairly passive and they like to cede possession. They've only got more than 50% of the ball in one match this season, and I think it was against Sheffield Wednesday, who are firmly at the bottom of the league. I don't know why my camera keeps doing this. I'm sorry about that. In addition to that, most of the goals they've scored, they've created the chances through open play rather than relying on set pieces such as corners. That's not something I expected with three big hulking centre-backs on the pitch, but is something that we should definitely try and limit, because set pieces is, I think, where we struggled the most. We conceded earlier this week by a fairly jammy set piece from their side. If we can shut down their play if we can shut them down in open play, then we're going to do okay. Finally, we've got to look at Huddersfield's weaknesses. I think they've got plenty of weaknesses that we can absolutely exploit throughout the match. First up is the fact that they are not good at finishing. They will have a few chances, because that just happens in a game of football, but throughout the season we've been really good at limiting other sides' chances, especially when it's a side that sits in a little bit and lets us come to them. Playing at home, they're not going to be encouraged by their home crowd to go at the match, so they can sit in even more. We can hold possession, we can shut down their attacks fairly early. They don't play very transitional attacking football, so we can just limit their chances and make sure that their lack of finishing adds up to no goals. Ideally, another clean sheet would be absolutely perfect here. What is my camera doing? There we go. Sorry about that. I'll fix it for the next one. In addition to that, they are also fairly poor against wing attacks. That makes sense with them playing in a 3-5-2. Their three centre-backs do not cover wide enough to deal with wingers, and their wing-backs like to push on, which means that there are plenty of opportunities for us to get in behind them and really stretch them. With the likes of Somerville and James, which is my ideal starting lineup for this match, that's a lot of pace and direct attacking that we can really use to exploit those vulnerabilities. That's why I'd pick them, because they're very urgent forward attackers that can sort of solve the problem of slow starts we've had so far this season. In addition to that, they're very vulnerable to transitional play, which is what we love to do. They're not very good against a through ball. Their three centre-backs are all right, but they're not very good at dealing with through balls, because they're not quite fast enough to deal with the wingers and centre-forwards in this division. If we can exploit that, if we can get Rutter playing those clever balls through to Somerville and James again, absolutely in the money. Could be a very, very nice win. Ultimately, I think looking at their weaknesses, we really need to be direct with this. We need to take advantage of all the chances that we get, move the ball up the pitch quickly and get in behind their slow defence and make sure they don't have that many chances. The more chances they have, the more they can fix that crap finishing and score against us. Ultimately, predictions, I know I sort of screwed it earlier in the week by saying that Stoke had managed one clean sheet all season, but I can feel the same again. I feel like we might get a clean sheet from this because they're not very good at finishing. I don't think they get many chances, and I think we'll bang in a good few goals. That's the dream, at least. Being wedding weekend, I would quite like something good to happen, so I can start the weekend on a bouncy moment, but we'll find out. Let me know in the comments below what your predictions are for the match, what you think the starting lineup will look like. Like the video and subscribe, and if you've not yet become a channel member, it's massively appreciated. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you later.